let's create sort of a belt piece for our character. And we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with the cowl piece or the collar piece with this belt. And so to start, we're going to create kind of the basic shell. And to do that, we can simply create polygon primitive, and let's just create a simple cylinder. All right. We can use the creation parameters over here in the channel box. Let's take our height down a little bit, and I'm just middle mouse dragging it. Kind of get it into position. Let's take our radius down a bit. We can figure out how kind of high we want this. And so right now our height is 0.3. I think I want it to be kind of 0.2 probably is good. Okay, so something like that. Let's take our radius down a little bit more. Again, we want it to be sticking off of the surface a little bit so that we have a room for that sort of cloth inside. Although this could be the inside of it, so we could extrude it out. So we'll go ahead and leave that at 0.5, I think. Okay, so now what we want to do is get it just to the basics, right? The shell. And so in this case, we know that we don't need the top or bottom. And so I'm going to just come in the front view here, drag across the top, actually drag across the whole thing. And then I'm going to control drag across the middle. And that leaves us with just the top and the bottom selected. Now we can just hit delete and deletes all of that. I also know that I don't want it to actually connect. I want to have a piece in here that we're going to create in ZBrush. So I want an opening right here. I don't want it to be quite this wide. So what I want to do is take this center edge here and I'm going to bevel it. Okay. And then we can change our fraction amount. So I don't know, maybe something like 0.4, 0.5, maybe something like that. And go ahead and get rid of that. And then I want it to angle down a bit. So I'm going to take both of these edges, pull them down. I'm going to hold down Shift and add to the selection, pull those down. Okay, so something like that. And we can also come in here and shape this. So you can see here where it comes straight around. And so just by rotating that, it's going to fix a lot of that issue. Pull it forward a bit. And let's actually pull it up a bit. So something like that. We could also take the bottom edge. I'll just hold down Shift and double click the bottom there. And I'm just going to scale it out in this direction. So something along those lines. Okay, so there are several ways we could do this. We could extrude the wood part out and then duplicate our faces. Or we can simply hit Control D to duplicate this at this point. And now you can see in our outliner, we have two of these identical objects. So we'll take this one, hit Control E to extrude, and this time we'll extrude the thickness out. Okay, and I'm going to put in a number just because it's so small. So we want to go maybe 0.05 or 0.04. Turn our divisions down. Okay, so something like that. And then we'll get the inner piece that we duplicated. On this one, we want to do the same thing that we did on the cowl, which is to cut off the outer edges. So I'm just going to go View Selected. Let's get our multi-cut tool. Holding down Control, we can quickly add some edges. Now I want to get rid of those. So I'll delete that. Yep, and I do want to actually add another one right here. There we go. So now again, we want to have that bead that goes all the way around. So we'll add some lines right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and add to our selection. Now hit Control E to extrude, and I'm going to bring this the other direction. So minus 0.05. That's going to be too thick. So let's say minus 0.025. Your division's down to 1. And then let's do the same thing over here. So I'm just going to hit G to repeat that. Extrude. Minus 0.05. Take our divisions down and take this down as well. Let's make this one a little bit thicker. And let's add a little bit of an offset. Like 0.01 maybe. So we get something like that. And that's going to be the inner part, right? And then we have the outer part already. Let's go ahead and turn off our View Selected. And again, let's add our support edges so that when we take this into ZBrush and subdivide it, it keeps its shape. Okay, kind of like that. And that gives us a couple of objects there. With that, when we texture it, thinking about this is wood and we'll have some